kidding me?
Oh. You actually want to learn how to read astrology? Well, it's just not like how you need to be thinking and going about it like everybody else. It's a lot more complex than that. You can't just pick up a chart and go, oh, that's bad, that's good. No. Don't ever think like that. I'm going to share some pointers that I wish I knew about when I first started reading, these hot messes. And to better help you understand how to go about looking at a chart, transits, aspect code, and whatnot. Because going at it in a good or bad way, that's going to get you nowhere. So, first off, the biggest tip that I give, I was just elaborating on it. Whenever you're looking at a chart, here, we'll go and use an example. Let's just use this one over here. Okay, so you have right here a little birth chart. Boop-de-boop. Looking at it and then going like, oh, a Venus in Scorpio, that doesn't sound good. You're already going at it incorrectly. The right way and the best way to go about it is this. Okay, a Venus in Scorpio. Well, what's Venus and what is Scorpio? You mix the two together and then you get what you get. To understand astrology the best you can is to look at something for how it is and then acting out accordingly with what it's dealt. So if you're, again, as an example, Venus in Scorpio, if you're dealt with that, you have someone that's either their spouse figure or the way that they like to express their love or what they find beautiful is either overkill or not. It's not good or bad, because that's not the point. The point is to see for something how it is, and then going about it and working with it. Not saying, oh, you have Venus in Scorpio, oh my gosh, that one's going to stab me if I cheat on them. No. Absolutely not. That is not how you go about it, because right off the bat, you're making a polarity of a good, bad, negative, positive. It is what it is. And if you go at it with that mindset, you're being more open and more aware of, okay, here's another good example, Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is considered debilitated or weak. Mars in Cancer, even though it's weak in that position, the last thing you want to do with someone that has a Mars in Cancer is go after their family. That's a no, don't ever do that. But it's weak. No, it's not. It's just that planet is uncomfortable in that sign, and it's not able to do what it wants to do the most effectively. So, that goes on to the next point. Just because something is debilitated or exalted, again, that has nothing to do if it's going to be good or bad. It is what it is. And if you go at it with that mindset, going to keep reiterating it, you're opening yourself up to grasp the understanding and then work with it. If it's good or bad, you're like, okay, I have this, but it's also bad because of this. Either way, it is what it is. Take the strengths, work on the weaknesses. It's better to know what you got and how to work with it, rather than be like, oh gosh, it's a retrograde Saturn, oh my god. And that's, no. Don't just judge like that. Next. You also need to understand that there are so many perspectives for astrology that there is a million or even more ways to interpret this. There's so many. And each person can see something that the other person cannot. That's the beauty of divination and using astrology. What you see, someone else can see differently. And astrology, once you take the first step, it's a never-ending road. You always keep learning, you always keep going. You're forever a student. Forever. And also, the guru, or your teacher, is always still a student. Because the best teacher learns from his students. And those students teach the teacher. It's an endless cycle. The only thing that's the difference is that one has more experience and the other one does not. And both of them rely on one another to expand their knowledge. And as well, for me personally, there are terms as beneficial and malefic. With me, I take that as a grain of salt. There are people, and there have been a lot of documentations of a planet, Saturn, as a malefic. Just like with another point I just said. If you look at it as good or bad, that's only how you're going to see it. If you see it for how it is, you can work with it. But for me personally, I do not consider Saturn a malefic energy. Ever. In fact, if I could classify him as an energy, I consider him neutral. True neutral. He doesn't like anybody. He doesn't hate anybody. He's neutral to everybody. He's the exact same to everybody. And a good way to go about him, Saturn is a reflection of yourself. Whatever you throw and push out, he'll come right back around and then put it right back in your face again. He reflects. That's what Saturn is. As an example between like the terms malefic and beneficial. What is another one that I can think of off the top of my head? But really, this is like a good startup because I'm actually going to be starting to do like fundamentals and starting to actually get into taking what I know about astrology and then putting it out there. Because I know I practiced both doing it the Western way and I'm still learning that way, on top of looking at it in the ancient Vedic way, like the practice in India. I can say one thing. Looking into the Vedic side and in Navamsha, my jaw dropped. And every time I look at my chart in Navamsha, I keep getting more blown away. And also, the Vedic chart compared to the Western chart, as an example, this is what a Western chart looks like at birth. In Vedic, depending on which style of chart it is, there's the north, south, and I believe east style. There's this kind of a chart. This is the chart I prefer whenever I'm doing like Vedic studies, and I prefer to actually do it the Vedic way too because it's just so much simpler. And that's another point I'm going to get to in a second. Everything as a whole, it just looks so much, what's wrong? It looks just so much easier. Look at that. Compared to something that has like all lines, like, whoops, like this, it's a hot mess. It's just to me, it's a hot mess seeing all the lines and they're going all over the place. I hate the glare. You see all that hot mess? This looks less intimidating. But with that, another key concept that you have to understand this. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't ever overcomplicate it because it's not complicated. Keep it simple, easy, and at the basic level. Because if you keep it simple like that, you'll be able to look at a chart and go, okay, we have that there. We have a moon in, let's see. Well, if we have a moon in Capricorn with Ketu in Pisces, and Ketu is holding the lowest degree. and I'll explain what those planets are. And then you'll be able to link the two together and think, wow, that's a really difficult thing to deal with, having Moon and Ketu in Pisces. It's a really difficult thing to deal with, but you're dealt with it if you have it. If you keep it simple like that, you can take what Moon represents and what Ketu represents, and then the sign of Pisces, and then the house, put them all together, and make an astrology keg. I don't know how else to put that, but if you keep it easy and to that point, it doesn't matter if it's Western or Vedic or any other style of astrology. You focus on the basic level, and then you work your way up and then link everything together based on how it's represented. Simple. It's actually deceptively simple. But once you start getting into, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Western because it's an established way of astrology, but when you're having squares, conjuncts, actually conjunctions is also in Vedic too, but trines, sextiles, square, semi-square, yeah, it just gets all over the place. And just some of the aspect codes there just make it go, what? But in Vedic, they keep it simple. Each planet has a set aspect code, and it follows it wherever it goes. It keeps it to a simple degree. As well, I'll also have to clarify also that depending as well, like because for me personally, I do use the Western style chart, but for me personally, all those lines just make it too complicated. I take Western chart and read it in a Vedic way. Vedic chart, I read it in the Vedic way. If it gets too complicated with lines all over the place, to me that's too difficult. But either way, from my experience, I have read charts that are Western in the Vedic way and had tremendous success with it. And it works just as fine when you cut out all the lines all over the place. It works just as well. And starting off with this series, I'm going to start with keeping it at the beginning. I'm going to start with the houses, the planets, the zodiac signs, and then start branching off into like what happens when this planet's here, then here, then here. What happens when this planet's in this house? Well, like this. So for an example, if you're a Leo rising and you have your sun there in its own sign in the first house, exalted in that house, because that's originally Aries' house, and you put sun there. Sun is comfy and confident because he's in his exalted house with his sign. So you have someone who is very bright and confident, and everybody can look and say, oh my Lord Lantern, he is bright. Just see how like I put it all together like that? That's an example. Be kind of a little brief. But I hope that you're going to be understanding and going to look at it the way that I suggested. Like, okay, I have this. It is what it is. It's deemed not good, but I'm going to work with it and figure out what I can do with it. Because I can guarantee you, if you look at it that way, you will have no trouble picking up a chart and go, okay, you must have been separated from your mother early at birth, or you must have a rough childhood with your mother, based on looking at somebody's chart like that, as an example. But I hope this is going to pump all of you up to actually take a moment to actually see from a different perspective, because I'm not right, nobody's right. Astrology is a divination tool, but it is really old. Really old. And if you respect it, and if you invest into it, that's a key word. If you invest, whatever you invest in, you always get something out of it because you work into it and you get the reward of it. But in astrology, you're never going to stop learning. I'm going to say that right off the bat. There is no destination. You're always getting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher of awareness, and learning of it is never going to stop. Right out the get-go. If you're expecting to learn astrology just for one thing, you're not. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you can do it one time just to look and see, like, okay, well, I'm not compatible with them. Okay, I'm done with them. But you have to be able to look at the chart and understand, wait a minute, why is that? Why is this not compatible with this? Let me see for myself. Because me personally, I have I have my ruling planet in both Vedic and Western. And actually I have on my necklace right here. My ruling planet is Saturn. A lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so, must be tough for you, kid. Well, okay, yeah, he is my ruling planet, and it is tough, but he's also retrograde. Yeah, that kind of changed the ballgame a little bit, but as an example, looking at it with Saturn retrograde, you can be surprised at how much it can go from something one way and then just completely change the whole ballgame in a positive way, or is deemed positive, because everything in astrology has its good and bad side. But I'm going to start with the series, and I'm going to just start from Saturn, because what can I say? He's my favorite planet and my ruler. I'm going to start from Saturn and then go inward. And then after going through all the planets, then I'm going to start with the house placements, and then the signs, and then build up from there. But I hope this is going to be a series you're going to enjoy, because I'm going to do my very best to explain it the best you can. And I really hope that there's going to be a lot more people coming into this art and going to want to appreciate and respect it and be able to give credit back to all the rishis. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. The gurus, the wise men and the wise women who pretty much looked up in the sky with only their vision, and they mathematically drew all of this. It just blows my mind, but that's what happens when the divine comes and says, you, I need you to do this. Look up. Now write down all that I'm saying, and I'm going to explain it to you. That deserves respect.